Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hello, probies.
We need to get the new guy
Aprons.
aprons for people.
Oh, that's what it means. I thought it was because of all the aliens. And
Yeah.
I assume you meant
Could've
like
been.
probationary
Yeah, I
period.
think you're
Yeah,
right.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Well, they even explain it right in the episode. It means
Right.
rookie.
Yeah.
Sam is not impressed.
Not at
No,
all.
she's
She's looking for the jello.
she's
If you,
making sure I am on my best behavior tonight after last
If you go
episode.
to our YouTube,
Yeah.
the StarQuest YouTube channel, you can see Sam staring down Victor.
The back of his neck.
Yep.
You
need to make it so
I
it
feel
just
like a
zooms
glass
in.
of pudding.
Isn't that a Katy Perry lyric? Do you ever feel
Yeah.
like a glass of pudding?
Yeah.
Mm.
Anyways, tonight we are discussing the 19th episode of Season 6, The Changeling. In a perplexing series of alternate realities, Teal'c finds himself toggling between two worlds, one where he is a firefighter named T, and the other as a member of SG-1. In the firefighter world, he must confront a deadly car crash involving his adopted stepfather, Braytac, known as Bray, and faces surreal challenges. As the boundaries between these realities blur, Teal'c grapples with confusion, visions, and the absence of his symbiote. Ultimately, SG-1 discovers Teal'c and Braytac in dire straits on another planet. Sharing Teal'c's symbiote to stay alive, Dr. Frazier administers a modified version of Tritonin, rescuing them from certain death. Teal'c awakens to the reassurance from Daniel Jackson that the ordeal was a manifestation of his mind's resilience. And we get to see Daniel once again.
Mm.
In his cable knit sweater.
Yep.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on this episode, Father?
I like this one well enough. I mean, it's fun to see Teal'c actually do things, but also see him as in another persona, if you will, as the fireman. And so I his language and everything is very different. He shows more emotion, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. It's an interesting story, and it's a story that was written by Christopher Judge.
Nice,
So,
yeah.
which is pretty cool. Little wonder why it's a Teal'c-centric story,
Yeah.
since Teal'c literally wrote it.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like he wanted to stretch his acting legs there because he's very different as the firefighter, which is fun to see.
hmm
What about you, Lisa?
So this one, I don't remember liking, 20 years ago, but, having watched it many, many times, I feel like every time you watch it, you just get something more out of it. You notice
Mhm.
little things and you realize just how intricate it is. Like there's all these things going on that are connected. And so now I really, really like this one. I was looking forward to it, and I really enjoyed watching it again. Because of the things like Father Cory said, you've got the different actors kind of acting. Teal'c and Braytac, you've got them acting outside of their normal personas. You've got the little bit of interplay with the firefighters. You've got the drama of not knowing what's going on, and the way that they weave the three storylines together. And then, you realize Daniel Jackson's really been there the whole time. And I don't know. I really enjoy it. But you have to think about it. I mean, it's one of those you have to be paying attention. Otherwise, I think it just goes over your head. Or maybe you think it's slow,
Right.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Victor?
Yeah, this is when I first started watching this one. I was like, oh no, the one where they're all firemen for the entire episode and it's all fake. And I didn't remember like the main plot twist of this, which I do like that midway through they actually show you what's happening. But at that point, you're so off guard that you don't know if it's just another hallucination or what.
Mm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like it. I thought they could have integrated other, cast members more into the hallucinations. That would have been fun to see. We do see Poff or Apophis, but we could have seen Cell or Selmac, as well. I have a problem with like the T and Bray, and it's like we're very like on the nose with our, names and stuff. But no, I do like it. And I mean, for Christopher Judge to write a very good episode, not just for Teal'c, but for his T character, you can always tell when it's T because he's wearing his T shirt. You can, it's really, it is, you do get to see more of a range out of Christopher Judge as an actor. So that's always a treat.
I really like that even the alternate reality of the SG-1 team that he's in, like it gets revealed that is not even a true timeline. That's also part of the hallucination. So I like that they and mix it up there. It's not, this is exactly what's happening and he's hallucinating. It's the whole thing is kind of a hallucination.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, it's interesting because a couple of years later, Doctor Who does the same thing with Amy and Rory. Actually, about 10 years later, as I think of it, there's an episode called Amy's Choice, where it's supposedly it's in like 5 years in the future, but it turns out they're actually, and they're bouncing between two different realities. It seems like the same kind of thing, but then the actual real reality is that they're passed out in the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
So it's and I can't say that, they were influenced by this storyline to do that, but it is an interesting way to do it, especially when you have that question, okay, which is the reality, which is, Vision 1, Vision 2, and is it Vision 3 or is it Reality 1, things like that.
Yeah, and I almost wish once we do find out that Teal'c is fading in and out because he's sharing his symbiote with Braytech on the battlefield where the Jaffa were ambushed. 100 Jaffa are dead. Only Teal'c survived. Braytech's symbiote was wiped out, and so Teal'c's keeping Braytech alive by switching the symbiote back and forth. I wish that there had been greater correlation between like when Teal'c has the symbiote, he sees the SG-1 illusion, and when he doesn't have the symbiote, he sees the fire. We don't really get that, but I can forgive that just because it would have required a whole level of like Christopher Nolan level like planning on their part.
Well, they kind of hint at it, but because there's the one scene where he's he's feeling for his symbiote, and it's my symbiote's missing, and he's sitting there crying, and they kind of hint at that's what's causing the back and forth, him to switch between the two realities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of took it as the SG-1 reality was not having the symbiote, and then the firefighter reality was when he had it.
I took it the other way, but
yeah. And I do like how they kind of like they do seed it early on, like in one of the very early scenes, Teal'c doesn't have his brand, and you're like, wait, something's up with his face, and then he lifts up his shirt and he doesn't have his symbiote pouch, and so that's a clue, but they don't pay that off until midway through the episode and then at the end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of the symbiote, it was kind of a nonchalant ending to Junior, who has been referenced throughout the entire show, and it's just like I guess he's gone. There's no emotional goodbye of Junior. Just he's gone.
Nope.
Pour one out for
Pour one out for Junior.
It is interesting.
I noticed too. Oh,
it's interesting because it comes so quickly, like episode, and then it's like, oh, he's not. Now we have this new drug, and he's not going to have a symbiote anymore, and he might never have another symbiote, and it's just like, it's just kind of thrown in there in the last few minutes, and okay.
Yep. Well, it's interesting because throughout the series they've aged Junior. Because remember when season 1, it was very immature. And now it's a full grown Gould, and oh, by the way, we're done with it anyways, so who cares?
Yeah,
time to dissect
it. We don't really get the episode where it's like a race against the clock because Teal'c's symbiote is maturing and it's going to seek out a host or anything. It's like it was just kind of it's time to die.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Jacob Carter / Selmec. And when I saw Carmen Argentiano like appear in the credits, I was like, "Ooh, who's he going to be in the Fireman reality and stuff?" But we don't get to see him. He just walks in and says, "Take this drug, and you'll be fine."
Yeah, he comes in at the end to save the day, like they do a lot with him.
Yep. Which it's cool that the Tok'ra have been working on this drug. They're like, we realize that the Jaffa are like the power that supports the Gould, and if we can get them not dependent on Gould symbiotes anymore, then that undercuts a lot of the System Lord, power structure. So that was kind of cool. That made sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that they did that.
It would have been cool if they had the other actors like Don S. Davis and the actor who plays Frasier, just have them be like in the background of the hospital, like as administrative people or something like that, and don't even acknowledge them. That would have been fun to see.
Figured Frasier would show up at the minimum in the hospital, but
Instead you had a office.
Dan Shea was there. Sergeant Seiler was there. Martin Wood was one of the firefighters. So quite a few cameos.
Gary Jones is a radio dispatcher, which I missed, I guess. Yeah,
I did too. Oh. And evidently, Amanda Tapping's real life husband was a firefighter.
Interesting.
According to online.
Nice.
Well, it's on the internet, so it must be true.
Must be true.
Yep. They don't let you publish anything unless it's true.
I was wondering if the crash victim was somebody, from the production staff or something, but I haven't been able to.
Could have been.
I read that the kid in the car was somebody's.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know whose.
He was the body double for Thor. I don't know that. I don't think that's true.
They should have had Thor be in this episode. Like, just have Michael Shanks playing Thor, like as in a different face or something.
Or Thor's just sitting there with a big gulp, watching them as they fight
the
the fires or something. And Teal'c's like, "What's going on?"
I want to see Thor sliding down the firefighter pole.
Yeah, my son was not very impressed with their response time. He's like, it's taking them so long to get out to the fire. I don't know how realistic that is with actual firefighters, but I was like, I don't know. They're moving pretty quick.
Figure a minute or two to get everything buttoned up and gone. That's not too bad. So
yeah.
Hey, they didn't finish their breakfast. It's not like they stood there and shoveled food in their face. They just left.
Of course, that looked like that pretty bland breakfast: toast and fruit and cereal and. It's like these guys didn't work too hard on this breakfast, did they?
I did like how they had to how the probies had to wear the pink aprons.
Yep.
It said new guy. And then they also had the stuffed animal stuck to it, because every time you have kind of a hazing ritual like that, every year something kind of new gets added to the apron, and stuff. So I'm glad to see it wasn't just the apron, and they had the stuffed animal stuck to it as well and stuff. So that I thought was a nice touch.
That probably affected their response time. They had to take off their aprons.
Exactly. Yeah.
I liked that they had, the SG-1 team, that the way that they showed it as the firefighters were, the Jonas was the probie, and then you had Jack and Sam kind of being in charge. But I loved the interaction between them and the way they kept talking about the surgery and just the way it all related. And then you have Daniel Jackson that's like, oh, do you think maybe that you're, donating your organ could be I liked it because the first time you see it, you're like, what the heck is going on? Why are we talking about kidneys? And
yeah,
and you could totally see in Teal'c's hallucination, Daniel playing the shrink, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when it turns out that you're like, I wonder if Daniel's really there, like he was for Jack. When Jack was dying, and you're like, oh, he is really there, like he was for Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I was waiting for Daniel to show up because I was thinking if Teal'c's having this end of life hallucination, Daniel's got to show up somewhere because he was a pretty big part of his life for a while, and I'm glad he actually did.
I like that. At least he didn't have to wear that sweater all the way through the episode. He actually wears some, decent clothes. No,
you can either be a space squid or wear the cable knit sweater, and that's your option when you're ascended.
And the Ascended get all their style from the J.C. Penney catalog or something.
Yeah. Cable knit sweaters were just really big, in the late 90s and early 2000s. If you wanted to show someone was sensitive and in tune with their, Ascended side, that was what you'd do.
They could have also gone a Saint Elsewhere direction, and this is the show's hard pivot to a firefighter procedural. The whole thing has been Teal'c's hallucination the whole time, and now Stargate's.
Yeah,
procedural.
That's what we're doing.
Teal'c wakes up in bed with Bob Newhart.
Yeah.
And that's probably not how that works, but
that would be an interesting hallucination.
Yeah.
It was a spinoff. They were preparing for the end of the show, right?
Yeah.
This doesn't work. We could always do this.
I'm Kitano, and this is my other brother, Kitano. Yeah. Speaking of like previous actors, I thought Peter Williams was kind of, I don't know, not wasted in this episode, but he didn't really have like an anchor. He was just kind of like on the periphery. He's, the doctor that's going to operate on Teal'c. He's somebody else that Teal'c sees, and then he's suddenly like dressed way more fancy than he ever was on the show in Egyptian garb and stuff. And I thought there should have been like some dialogue, like, more than just like, I'm your god, Shava. Like you are reaching out to me now because in your final hours, you realize that the truth of everything that you've believed, something like that. They should have done more with him.
Yeah, but I kind of see where they were going. Like when you have nightmares, like if you ever had like a bad fever and you get nightmares, that you just get all sorts of random stuff thrown in there. And so I like that he was the doctor who was performing the operation, which Teal'c was afraid of, and so that that does tie into his fear of Apophis. And I like that his garb was exaggerated and over the top because it's usually what happens when you have fever dreams.
Speaking of the operation, like how ungrateful was Braytek? Like he's like, "Oh, my body's rejecting your kidney. Oh, I'm going to die, and you're going to have to live with one kidney." Like not even like thanks, but it didn't work or something.
That's Braytek. I mean, that's how he is, anyways.
Yeah.
He does that whole "I die well, I die free, I die well." So it's like, it didn't work, but I die well, so it's good.
Yep.
Until it's like, give me my kidney back, old man.
That's kind of how I felt Teal'c's reaction was.
Yeah. Can you have it back now if you're not going to use it?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that, I assume that might work. I don't know.
I don't know when a organ gets rejected, if it can be re-implanted elsewhere, or if it's basically dead.
Maybe if you wash it first. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there like a...
Not medical advice.
No. If you
kick
need
it across the floor.
Yeah.
Make a kidney pie.
Yeah.
It would have been fun to see like a personification of Junior, because he's a mature Gould now.
Oh, yeah.
Have some sort of like have him be a character.
Like Ryak, like Teal'c's actual son who's maturing into manhood could have been like, like, I'm your son, but now I'm a man now and I don't need you anymore. And so I'm going to move to like, Paris and, be away from you.
Yeah, we didn't see Ryak at all, which I guess they couldn't, maybe they just couldn't get the actor back.
Ryak.
It just goes further into Teal'c's absentee father character.
Yeah, we get Musetta Vander as Shana, who I was like, was that Teal'c's wife? I was like, oh no, that was Teal'c's side piece. I don't know like what her official designation was on the show.
After they got divorced, his wife got divorced.
Yeah.
That was an odd choice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have thought it would have been Drayak, and maybe they couldn't get the actress, and this is who they could get.
Or one of the actresses, right?
Right.
Yeah.
One of the, That one was an odd choice to me, but she was the most recent Teal'c girlfriend. So,
And speaking of girlfriend, one of the nurses was Christopher Judge's actual then girlfriend, now wife.
Oh,
I think it was the one that was in the front that was chasing after him.
Was that the hello nurse or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that was the one where he was in the wrong room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's pulling favors for your friends. Get them in your
exactly.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
You write the episode, you get to.
Now, of course, we know the real reason why this episode was written by Christopher Judge, so they could play with fire trucks.
Yeah.
They got to live out every 5-year-old boy's dream to play with a fire truck.
Yep.
Actually, I was thinking about that as they had 3 trucks. They're all, I was thinking about that. How many people would love to be a firefighter or to at least pretend to be one for a little while?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, like that did strike me as odd as like how much exposure has Teal'c actually had to like firefighters through watching TV or whatever, that he would like suddenly fantasize about being a fighter versus like, Bruce Willis and Die Hard or Han Solo and Star Wars.
Are you saying those would be your choices?
Well, not necessarily my choices, but like if you've done is watch movies, right? But Teal'c's obviously like had a lot of time to think about being a firefighter.
Maybe he's a big fan of the old TV show Emergency.
Yeah.
So that's what got into his head. That's my headcanon. He's watched all of Emergency.
911.
Yeah.
Shatner. Yeah.
What they could have done is they should have had him be like a MacGyver type character.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Yeah. With a mullet.
Yeah. Teal'c with a mullet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would have been great. It was super fun though watching Christopher Judge speak normal.
Yeah.
It was.
Just be normal. It was
and have normal emotions.
Odd, wasn't it? Like you're watching him and you're like, what is wrong? Oh my gosh, he's not speaking formally and he's actually talking. And
no, I was going to say, he's actually speaking. He actually has lines that's other than indeed.
And smiling like a human being. I'm watching him like Teal'c's mouth doesn't move that way.
Yeah.
He's like smiling out of the corner of his mouth. Is like that. Teal'c's mouth doesn't do that.
Yep.
Yeah. It was kind of fun.
It was nice. Yeah, he's a relaxed, normal human being. Which I don't know if Teal'c's character really develops in that direction now that he doesn't have a symbiote in him, but that would be nice. A little bit. I want to see him branch out a bit.
Not to that level.
Yeah.
Not to that level.
Teal'c remains Teal'c. I mean,
yeah,
he gets hair eventually.
Yeah.
I've seen every so often when I'm flipping through the TV channels on the YouTube TV app, I'll catch an episode of Stargate that's later on. I won't watch it because I don't want to get spoiled, but it is always weird seeing him with hair.
Yep.
Just doesn't look right.
I just looked and it says that Richard Dean Anderson did a movie called Firehouse. He played a fireman.
Okay.
It only has 4 stars. Oops.
Yeah, and there were various MacGyver episodes, like one where like he had helped firemen, and then there was like a mad bomber who was like the fire inspector or something and was trying to start fires with bombs, and MacGyver had to stop them and stuff. It's not the same thing, but
have y'all seen the show Maniac on Netflix?
No.
It's got Emma Stone and Jonah Hill in it. It's really good. But part of the plot is the characters are like doing this experimental drug trial, and when they go under the drug, they have these weird hallucinations that tie into the plot, kind of like this, but it's a bunch of different things. Like some of it is like this weird fantasy world, and some of it's like they're on Wall Street and stuff, and a bunch of different settings. It would have been fun to see something like that where each like pass through the hallucination was something different.
Yeah, or since Teal'c's like main exposure to Earth has been like through television and movies, like everyone was a different movie. Although we do kind of get that later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been fun to see. So if you were going through your end of life hallucination experience, what would your mind conjure up? What do you think?
Oh,
what do you think, Father?
Pretty boring.
Put you on the spot with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably back in the Air Force.
Yeah.
Because I'll still every once in a while have dreams where I'm in the Air Force, still or again or something like that. So
nice. What about you, Lisa?
I don't know. It probably involves school.
Yeah.
I still do have those random dreams where you're like, I'm still in law school and I'm like, you haven't been to class all semester and you have to show up and take the exam and you freak out. And so
you don't even know what room it's in. And
yeah, I'm walking around the whole school trying to figure it out. So I mean, it's only been 30 years, but you would think, but yeah, I still do it.
What about you, Victor?
Yeah, I still get those dreams too where I'm back in school, but then like my brain like clicks in and says, but like you're years too old for that. And then I like the dream becomes about how I rationalize how I'm like very old and in college still or something.
I want to see that movie now.
Yeah, it's called Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. Yeah. That's what I was just thinking.
Oh my gosh.
But a better version.
That's a
better version
movie.
of that. Yeah, and then it's like, nope, reset the dream. That explanation was not passable, and then it just kind of ruins everything. But I don't know. like fictional universes that I'd like to probably live out my last like dying seconds in, like maybe Deep Space Nine or something, like in Quarks. I don't know.
There you go.
I know I should
That'd
have
be
said
fun.
like
Stargate.
Stargate, but there's yeah.
Atlantis. You says Atlantis.
Atlantis would be nice. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably pick something from Star Trek.
Yeah.
But yeah. I kind of wish we got more of the main characters in their alternate personas, because we don't really get a lot of Amanda Tapping or Richard Dean Anderson beyond the initial setup, but it would have been fun to see a bit more of the day-to-day at the firehouse.
And he's kind of the same
Yep.
character,
Mhm.
Yeah.
just as a fire chief instead of as a military officer.
Mhm.
But he's still
Yeah.
basically the same character.
All three of them were. And Braychak.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it.
Yep.
All of the alternate characters or alternate timeline, whatever's, they were the same people. That's
Mhm.
what was kind of
Mhm.
neat to me, is that it was, you weren't really sure what was going on because they were the same. But
Yeah.
they were firefighters, but it wasn't. And
Yeah, and for a show that's done like, parallel universes and parallel dimensions and
Mhm.
stuff and all these different things, like it keeps you looking for like what's the scientific quantum universe? What's the
Mhm.
science fiction-y explanation for this versus just, oh yeah, this is just what Jaffa hallucinate if they don't have a symbiote and they die.
Yep.
Type
Right.
thing. So I did appreciate that.
I think it's
Well,
his brain trying to work out the reality of what's going on with his body. And I really just liked that aspect of it, because it really, I don't even know if it has anything to do with Jaffa or just as a human, but it was,
Mhm.
you think about it, like people have these under traumatic experiences. Your brain
Mhm.
does disassociate and, goes through all these different scenarios. So I don't know. I thought it was, like I said, when I first saw it, didn't really like it because it was hard to figure out what was going on. I spent half the episode going, what? Did I miss something? What happened? But
Mhm.
now that I've seen it a bunch of times, it's like, no. Every time I appreciate it more and more.
It's also very well shot. Like they did a
Yeah.
lot of creative
Mhm.
transitions. I really like that. Like it wasn't just, oh, he turns around the corner and now he's in his hospital garb. Like they do interesting visual things with it too that
Right.
work really well.
Well, and there were a lot more one shot scenes.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, where they're like the camera is in front of them and just keeps going down the corridor, like up the steps, for example. That's when we've seen them go up and down those spiral staircase, but to actually have the camera leading them up the staircase,
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. So they did a lot of that kind of fun stuff. Yeah. And like you said, the transitions where, Teal'c goes, he's standing in the door and all of a sudden he's looking at the Stargate or, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of nice touches too. I appreciated that, Jack says a couple times, like when the Stargate's on, it's like, do you have any idea how much it costs to keep that thing on? And one of the things that they always talk about in any of the behind the scenes things is like, yeah, every time we turned on the Stargate, that was like $5,000 to like light that up and have the people waving the blue screens and stuff. So every time we showed the Stargate, it was like $5,000 minimum. So that's why they stopped showing it. Like,
Nice.
yeah.
So it's a good in joke right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so there was a lot of really nice things in this episode. One thing though that made me laugh was Dr. Fraser's like, yeah, or somebody at one point is like, we've heard that like if you take a symbiote out of a Jaffa, like their entire life flashes before their eyes. And I was like, yeah, you were there. This was like the beginning of season 5 when we took Teal'c symbiote out and his life flashed before his eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they had to basically reboot his brain.
Yeah.
Right.
You were the one saying put it back in.
I want to know what Braychak's hallucinations were like.
Oh yeah.
We don't get any of that.
No.
It probably would have been pretty boring because he's been just a Jaffa his entire life or something.
Maybe in his
Yeah.
hallucination he's like a megalomaniacal ghoul leader or
Yeah.
something.
There you go.
He's probably, remember when we went to Keb that time and he was like so close to wanting to be done, and
Yeah.
he's probably like, I'm at peace. If I die, I
Mhm.
die. Like, I'm good. He probably
Is
was
that-
having less trauma than Teal'c was.
Yeah.
He's like, thank goodness.
or maybe like
he's
the
probably
ones-
sitting there with
yeah.
Jack at his pond fishing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like the one
Peace.
time he was on Earth, he saw a Hallmark movie like on the base or something, and he's just like transported to like, a Christmas Prince or whatever.
Nice. He's kicking back on a beach
Yeah.
with a Mai Tai, listening to Jimmy Buffett or something.
Yeah.
There you go. So you're saying he's a guy that moves from the big city to the small town
Right.
and falls in love with the divorced veterinarian or whatever, and
There you go. There you go. I think he's been on a few Hallmark movies. Now I'm going to have to go
Oh,
look.
I'm sure he has. I'm sure he has.
If he has, we need to get a fan edit of what he sees.
Oh, that'd be
and just
funny.
Intersperse those with the Stargate episode.
He was in Father Stew. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, he was, yeah.
the
Yeah.
boxing coach.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm gonna have to rewatch that now.
Yeah,
I didn't
the
pick
scene
up on
where Stu is boxing, his coach is Braytek.
He's a good boxing coach to have. He should have taught him some of those Jaffa fighting moves.
Yeah, that was-
MMA wasn't a big
Yeah.
big thing at the time.
I'm not seeing
that's the
any
thing too. Is like
Hallmark.
he has not aged since like 1997 when the show started.
Even though he's what year younger than Richard Dean Anderson, wasn't that what it is?
Is he really?
Wait, really?
Yeah, that's always the joke
Stop it.
about Braytek or Jack calling Braytek old man.
Oh,
Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay. Now you've got me looking.
It's just one of those actors who's always looked like the old
Mhm.
grizzled warrior guy, and
Yep.
he pulls it off well.
He is. He's 1 year younger.
Yep.
Oh wow.
That's crazy.
he's
Yeah.
like Sam Elliott, same thing. You
Yeah.
know,
And,
Now you
and a
look
good
at
follow
Jacob.
on Twitter too. Follow Tony Amendola on Twitter.
Really?
Nice.
Always good positive stuff that he posts.
nice.
That's awesome.
That's good to
That's
hear.
cool.
I did appreciate the callback to the Pengarans though. Jacob is always there to give the people their due. He's like, yeah, the Pengarans were onto something. We took their research and then we kind of get this like, well, he won't be addicted to the symbiote, but won't he just be addicted to Tritonin? And Jacob's like, yeah, we'll deal with that.
Yeah.
We talked about that when I went to rehab. That's called transfer addiction.
Yeah. Although I think given the choice between, a drug you have to take once in a while and having this snake stuck in your belly, I think I'd rather have the drug you have to take once in a while.
Probably.
That's
Yeah.
actively maturing and will kill you someday or whatever. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, we'll find out the issues with being addicted to Tritonin. So
That's one thing I never understood about the Gould is like they have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Jaffa with maturing symbiotes in their stomach, but there aren't that many system lords, right? There aren't that many
Right.
even a system lord has only 3 Gould
Yeah.
people that are around them. So what do they do with the other mature Gould? Are those
They
the ones
eat them.
I thought they only ate the hatchlings, but maybe they do
Yeah.
eat the mature ones.
well, if you think about it, they don't seem to care that much that the Jaffa are cannon fodder. So that's
Mhm.
all
Yeah.
those symbiotes dying.
Yeah, I mean
It's
they
survival,
killed 100
survival
of
of the
them.
fittest, basically,
Yeah, I guess that's good way to look at it.
Yeah, the Gould killed 100 of them in this episode, right? We get that really
Mhm.
shocking scene. There's a lot of shocking scenes for Stargate in this. First of all,
Mhm.
the dad in the car, he's like, I'm
Yeah.
dead.
Yep.
And then all the dead Jaffa on the battlefield and stuff.
That was a cool scene though.
It was
to
that
go
many
from-
extras.
Yeah, and then just see it, and then you're like, wait, did I miss this part? What happened?
Yeah.
Especially just for it was less than 30 seconds long. They did a lot of good set dressing and a lot of extras for that scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice.
Yeah. We went past that scene and my son was like, so what's going on? I was like, well, they've showed you what's going on.
Yeah.
They did that 130-second scene is what's actually happening.
Yeah.
It's like something out of Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, you weren't expecting that at all at that moment because you thought what the reality was probably what was going on in the SGC.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he was hallucinating the fire stuff. So then they show you a third scene and you're like, hang on, now what? So, it bothered me a little bit that they kind of glossed over rescuing Teal'c and Braytek.
Mhm.
But at the
Yeah,
same
suddenly
time,
they're
if they
just-
had
yeah.
done that, I don't know if it really would have fit. Time wise, I guess we're okay with it. But I do kind of wish there'd been a little more about the rescue. because Daniel kept saying, hang on, they're almost there. Or, you know, like how
Yep.
that's the only component that really didn't work for me. Like, did Daniel, you know, kind of whisper it to them, like, you need to go get him right now?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, did they just...
Well, they did say that Teal'c knew that if they were overdue in if he was overdue in returning, that they would go after him.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That's why they found them and rescued them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I do appreciate, like, the entire episode has been from Teal'c's perspective. So if he was like fading out because Braytek had the Jaffa and he just like woke up, you know, when he was back on Earth, that kind of would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like how they did it dramatically because I think pretty much what happened was Teal'c was overdue from a secret mission. They went and found his body and brought it back. Like,
Yep.
I don't know if it really would have added a lot to the episode to see them doing that.
Yep.
Probably also would have been more expensive to film. So awesome. Y'all have any other thoughts on this episode?
Oh,
Nothing
ask them
else
about
here?
alternate titles, because there's some
Yes.
good ones.
Yes, I was.
I'm
Oh,
waiting
yeah.
for that.
Yep.
Yeah, so there were some alternate titles for this, and the Changeling apparently didn't translate well into other languages, so they were very kind of creative with what they came up with. In French, we get La Puerta de Rêves, which is the Dream Gate. So it's like Stargate, but with dreams, I guess.
Oh,
That's cool.
In Italian, we get Vita Parallele, which is Parallel Lives. And then in German, we get Hilfe aus der Traumwelt, which is help from the dream world. So,
Okay,
Which
wait, I
is-
gotta say, anyone's listening, you need to go to YouTube and watch Victor as he said that, because that was
Hilfe
awesome.
aus der Traumwelt. Help from the dream world.
well, he does the hands with the Italian
Yeah.
too. So I mean,
Need to get
But
that
yeah,
as a
so-
GIF on the Discord.
Yeah. So I mean, the Changeling, I think, doesn't, I don't know. It's a good misdirection, but
mhm.
help from the
Mhm.
dream world is a little.
Well, I'm surprised the German wasn't. Teal'c becomes a firefighter or something like that.
Yeah.
Or thinks he's a
Fireman
firefighter.
Teal'c, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
fireman
fire-
Teal'c.
I'll Firemensch Teal'c or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Dream World one that sounds like a title of like a Dio song or something.
Yeah.
I do have to say the Changeling is kind of a meh episode
Yeah.
title. I don't know. It doesn't really,
Yeah.
you don't hear it and think this episode.
It doesn't
Well,
relate to
especially-
anything.
No.
Mm-mm.
Well, especially in most sci-fi, where when you hear the term changeling, you think of Odo from DS9. You know,
Yeah.
a being that
Mhm.
can change shape or can, look different ways.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like
Just-
the one, what was the
Yeah.
alien that, used the chemical to make them
The
see
fifth
that he
man,
was one
yeah.
of theirs. Remember that fifth man?
Yeah.
Like that's what I think of when I hear the Changeling. I think of that episode.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what would be a better title that doesn't just give away the plot.
It's
I
true.
think Fireman Teal'c is probably
Yeah.
the best.
SG-1 becomes firefighters.
Yeah.
Nice. We do have some feedback on our episode on
Excellent.
Paradise Lost. Hammond on YouTube comments, probably my all-time favorite episode. Seeing Mayburn
Yay.
slowly lose his cool is hilarious. Mayburn is a guy who everyone else should be paranoid about, and here he is accusing Jack of being out to get him. It just never fails to crack me up, and it's the one I rewatch all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Mayburn is simply the best. I definitely
He
agree.
is simply the best. I agree. And this is the best Mayborn episode. So ergo,
Yep.
the best Stargate episode.
Uh-huh.
Question mark? ...
Yeah. I'm kind of sad that we don't get more Mayborn because he and him being a foil to Jack is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Nice. Awesome. Before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Stargate, including Mary H., Thomas M., Peter M., Joshua S., and Jeff S. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and you can find the video versions, which you definitely should, to see Victor's linguistic emoting at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia. And to find previous episodes of Secret to Stargate and to send us feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And you can check out the SQPN Discord at sqpn.com/Discord. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the secret to Stargate.
Thank you, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
My symbiote is gone. My symbiote is gone.
You should probably see a doctor about
Thanks,
that.
Jack. Yeah.
And once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to The Secret to Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?